Hi, I'm Jordan Browne, and we kick off this week's show in the Upper Peninsula, where Gabe and I were able to spend a few days at bow camp over in Menominee County.
Yeah, we're in central Menominee County. We're hunting private land, farmland that's a mixture of woods and fields, alfalfa and corn. We're hunting some land that I've leased anywhere from about 10 years to 28 years. I guess we've been managing it for antler size, but also for buck to doe ratio and quality of deer for about 15 years. We started with the hunters that come, we started really managing it that way. We've seen considerable change in antler points, which isn't too hard to do with 2-year-olds, but we've also, by going from 1.5 to 2.5, but now we're getting more and more 3.5 and 4.5 here. Our weights have gone up considerably with management here in our area, from averaging about 120 pounds on a dressed deer to averaging about 150 pounds on a dressed deer now.
If you've watched the show the last couple of years, you know that I've been trying to kill a buck with my bow in the UP for the last couple of years, and let's just say it's been a tough mission, but we're in a new spot, new part of the state over here in Menominee County, and we're going to be heading out to the tree stand in less than a half hour. Getting excited. Well, before we even got to camp, I felt like I already knew quite a bit about Dean. Gabe had told me a bunch of stories, and he had hunted with him several times. And this guy probably has more deer hunting stories than anybody you've ever met. And every night at deer camp, that was one of my favorite parts, is just sitting around listening to these old stories. Some of them 10 years old, some of them 20 years old, some of them older. And I think one of the unique things about Dean is how he started this guiding. You know, he guides all over the country, and he started it as a way to make ends meet, as a job. And he's kind of continued it today and used it as a springboard for some of his ministry work, and putting the outdoors and what he does there together is really interesting to me.
You know, over the years we did this for a living. We traveled and guided across the country and loved doing that. But it's become for us more a ministry. We guide in Colorado, even though we're guiding probably one of the top couple elk ranches in the world. We're really there for ministry, and that's really what we do here. It's not a ministry where, like coming to a church or a Bible camp, but it's really to serve people. So that's become our life with the guiding, and whether it be here or Colorado or South Dakota or wherever, and end up in Texas and guiding, we do it because we love doing it. We do it to serve people. Along with that, then we get to travel the rest of the year and speak to church groups and make ourselves available for that. So that's really why we do it. The nostalgia part of it is a big addition to it, but we love doing it because of the chance we have to serve people.
Well, it's October 9th. It's our second day in the stand here in Menominee County. Hunted last night, saw quite a few deer actually, but we're really contained. It's a really tight spot. These cedar swamps, they literally come right up to the edge of the field. It goes field, super thick swamp. I've never hunted anything like this before, and it's a little tough for me. I'm used to hunting downstate where you can see hundreds and hundreds of yards, you can see deer coming. Here it's like they're either right on top of you or maybe you're catching a glimpse of them through some branches, so a little bit of an adjustment there. But we did see a shooter buck last night. Couldn't get any video, it was too thick where he came out. We just got a couple of glimpses, but I saw a decent buck, had a little spike horn in here close and a couple of fawns, but nothing we were looking to shoot. So there's been multiple bucks that I would shoot hitting this field. It's just where they're going to come out and how close. So hopefully tonight we get one of those bucks to show themselves. Hopefully it's within 40 yards or so of the stand. Man, I wish you could hear this. Sounds like two pencils fighting together. That's hilarious.
Well, after spending 2 nights in the same stand and not having an opportunity at any decent buck, just a couple of spikes, we decided to switch stands. Gabe had a lot of confidence in another area that he had hunted in the past, and the wind direction changed and we were able to go there. So we took that opportunity to slide into a new setup and see if we couldn't have some luck there. So we climb into the stand that third night and the wind's just whipping from the moment we climb into the tree. It's blowing 20 or 25 miles an hour. And I was a little concerned right away that that might kind of hurt our deer movement. Sure enough, we didn't see a whole lot until that last hour of daylight. And I'm watching the doe and a couple of fawns that had kind of come into the food plot, and they were milling around and pretty nervous the whole time while they were in there. And we're just keeping an eye on them, trying not to get busted. And Gabe taps me on the shoulder and says there's a nice buck on the edge of the corn. And we start talking back and forth about how old we think this buck is, trying to decide if that's a shooter buck for the area or not. And he's walking in, and this deer just has enormous shoulders and a big gut. He's got rolls in his neck and just a really big bodied deer. And I'm watching him as he's coming in, and we're kind of talking about it. And I realize at some point that my binoculars are shaking so bad I can hardly see what it is. And that's when I told Gabe, I said, that's a shooter for me. That's a deer that gets me excited. And I know it's different for everybody. It might be a 4-point for some guys, might be a 10-point for others. But for me, where we were hunting, to watch this buck walk in, I knew right away this was a deer I wanted to shoot. Now the problem was the food plot was almost 100 yards across, so we needed him to come at least on our half of the food plot before we lost camera light in order to get a shot. And finally, with probably only 4 or 5 minutes of good camera light left, he started walking towards us, and once he got within 40 yards or so, I knew we were going to get a shot. It just was when and where and how it was all going to work out.
Shot my first UP buck ever. Oh man.
Releasing that arrow and watching the buck fall, there was just a lot of different emotion in that moment. You know, there's a sense of accomplishment and excitement and relief to a certain extent, and that's just what bow hunting is all about for me. It's about that intimacy you have, and you have to get an animal within range, and you have to do a lot of things right to be successful. You know, there's so much that can go wrong at that last second, and to make a 35-yard shot on him and have him go down right there, what an exciting moment. And to know that I just crossed off something off my bucket list, it's hard to put that into words.
That's my first UP buck ever. Oh. Isn't that cool? Well, he's by no means a monster, but I am so happy with this deer. You know, we drove so far from home. This is such a different spot to hunt. You know, being from southern Michigan and coming up here and hunting, it was almost just as much about the experience. You know, we're hoping maybe we'd get a buck on camera. But coming up here to the UP, it's some of the most beautiful scenery that you'll ever see in the middle of October when all the colors are changing. I just can't say how incredible this is. You know, I've had probably the most incredible month of my life. I killed a beautiful bull elk in Colorado less than a month ago. Got married last week, just over a week ago. Come up here to the UP for my my honeymoon with Gabe, and we were able to get a nice buck and get it on camera. And what a unique experience. Just so blessed to be able to do this and do this for my job and be a part of these hunts. Really, really awesome.
Well, I can't think of a better way to start my 2015 deer season than to arrow my first UP buck. And just a really big accomplishment for me. And I know there's guys that do it every year, but being from southern Michigan, that was something that I always really wanted to do. So to be able to get that done was a big deal for me. And I'm very thankful to Dean and Linda and to Gabe and everybody that was involved in setting that hunt up. just very grateful to have had the opportunity to spend some days bow hunting in the UP.